What would make the most handsome, most spoiled, richest young man in an entire city give up everything he had and die owning almost nothing? His name was Musab ibn Umayr. And by the end of this, you will understand why the Prophet, peace be upon him, stood over his body and could not hold back his tears. In the Makkah before Islam, Musab was a legend. The historians describe him as the most pampered youth the city had ever known. His mother was wealthy, and she spent that wealth on him. He wore the finest garments anyone had seen. He walked through the streets in perfume so strong. People knew Musab had passed long after he was gone. Mothers pointed to him as the dream, the example, the boy who had everything. And then he heard about a man teaching a new message near the hill of Safa. Quietly, secretly, Musab went to listen. And what he heard broke open his heart. He believed, but he hid it, because he knew what it would cost him. When his mother discovered the truth, the wealth stopped. The fine clothes were taken. The doors of comfort closed. The boy who once drowned in luxury now owned a single rough garment. But Musab did not look back. The Prophet, peace be upon him, saw something in him, and he chose Musab for one of the most important missions in early Islam. He sent him to the city of Yathrib, later called Medina, as the first teacher of the religion. One young man, no army, no money. And through his gentleness and his words, the people of an entire city began to accept Islam. The ground was being laid for everything that came after by a man who had given up everything. Then came the Battle of Uhud. And on that day, Musab carried the banner of the Muslims. He stood his ground when others fell back. And there, on the field of Uhud, Musab ibn Umayr was killed. About men like him, Allah revealed words that are still recited today.
من المؤمنين رجال صدقوا ما عاهدوا الله عليه فمنهم من قضى نحبه ومنهم من ينتظر وما بدلوا تبديلا.
When they came to bury him, they searched for a cloth to shroud his body, and all they could find was a single garment. The same kind of rough cloak he had worn since the day he gave up his wealth. It was too short. When they pulled it over his head, his feet were left bare. When they covered his feet, his head was exposed. This is recorded in Sahih al-Bukhari. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, told them to cover his head with the cloth and to place a layer of sweet-smelling grass over his feet. The richest young man of Makkah, buried in a cloth too small to cover him. And yet, think about what he traded and what he received. He gave up perfume and silk for a few short years, and he earned a place in a verse of the Quran that will be read until the end of time. This is the lesson Musab leaves us. Your wealth is not a sign of how loved you are, and your poverty is not a sign that you are forgotten. Both are a test. What lasts is not what you kept for yourself. It is what you gave for the sake of Allah. Musab died with almost nothing in his hands. But his hands were full in the only place that counts. This is the Rizq Mindset. Build your dunya, but never sell your akhirah to get it.